Between the Lines from First and Long College Football, our weekly best bets in college football betting. And now your hosts, Marcus and Mason.
That's me. Welcome to the First and Long College Football Show, and that's him. It's Mason, and this is Between the Lines here on the First and Long College Football Show. You heard it right. It's our best bets in college football betting. Tough week for me last week, Mason. And this is what we do here. It's a new college football season, so maybe you're new to this particular segment of our network, or maybe you're just new overall to First and Long College Football. So welcome either way. But we keep track right here, out in public, out in the wide open, with you of our bets for the whole year. We add up our records, keep a running record every single week. So it's all on Front Street, folks. And we invite you to come join us. Come join us in the comment section. Let us know, who are you betting on this weekend? We're admittedly, and thankfully, I didn't actually put any money on my bets last week because it was week one. I wanted to wait. Let's see. Let's just see for a second. But for obligatory reasons, I had to make picks, and on those picks, I went 2-5. Yikes. Now, this is a great time for me to toot my own horn. I went over 500 last year by double digits, okay? So, as much as it appears like I don't know what I'm doing, I probably don't know what I'm doing, but I did last year and the year before. So, something's got to give here week two. Mason, how'd you do? How are you doing? And good morning.
Yeah, good morning to you. I was on the opposite trend completely. I went 6-3 last week. Had a pretty decent week at +3. Did not hit on my money line. I only had one pick, so I'm down a unit right there. But up 2 units overall from week one. Pretty solid week. And this is the same trend that I was on last year, where I started off really hot, and then things got terrible for me going on. So if you want to fade my picks moving on, I don't blame you. But you know, we're kind of on opposite ends of the spectrum here, Mark, where you know, I had a good week one, and you know, didn't necessarily do as well last year. But look, it's a new year, right? I'm making better picks. Let's just keep the trend going. Let's go +3 every week throughout the season here. I'd be a happy camper with that. A lot of good picks this week, though. A lot of good games to choose from, and excited to break it down with you.
Yeah, man. I'm hoping for better results this week. Go, you know, if you just want to know how stupid I was last week, you can go look at my Alabama -13.5 pick. You could pick my Clemson -3.5 pick, which that one was, you know, close, I guess, but just not great. My unders were what hit last week, right? That was what I was correct on. I never have been let down by a week one under, still to this day. And I tell myself every year that I'm going to jump all over those, and I'm just going to pound the under week one. Well, I came up with 2 under picks for week one for some reason, and won on both of them. And I don't know, next year. I'll get them next year.
I didn't lose a single under pick last week. I lost on the only over I took. It was a fourth quarter over, LSU Clemson, thinking there'd be some fireworks late. Didn't happen. But
I lost on that total game under, or over, I'm sorry, by a lot. That was another laughable one, over 57.5. I mean, my God, couldn't be any more wrong on that.
It takes a while for these offenses to settle in, you know. And
quote the great Charles Barkley, is terrible.
Yeah, this is supposed to be the biggest jump that you're going to see of the season from week one to week two. The offenses should be much better this week. That being said, I'm still not confident enough to just start pounding the over. That's not necessarily the move here. I'm still looking at a lot of underplays, a lot of first half underplays, which, may not be the most attractive plays to make. They may not be the most entertaining plays to make, but they do win you money. And that's what we're here to do.
That's right. That's the overall goal of the show. We've got our regular picks against the spreads, the over-unders, and then our money line picks. Let's get it going. I've got 7 picks against the spread, and then I've got 2 money line picks today. And we need to keep up with those separately, like with the units. I also had 1 pick last week, so I'm down 1.05 units after my Texas money line pick last week. That was plus 105. So we'll keep up with those separate. Here we go. Week 2 picks. You want to do us the honors? You were the winner of last week, so you're on the tee box, my friend.
Yeah, well, let's start with the big games. Let's go to Michigan OU. I've got the first half under 23, and I need to check this line to make sure it didn't move from yesterday. But looking at these teams here,
I'll check it for you real quick.
Obviously, they're both very strong defensive programs, and that's actually okay. I do see a 23.5, so I'm going to take a 23.5 on this one. Looking at both of these teams here, you got a freshman quarterback in Bryce Underwood who looked phenomenal in his start. Made some really impressive throws. I know it was against lesser competition, but the way he leads his receivers, I mean, it's actually really impressive. I wasn't expecting that out of a true freshman, and as of right now, after week 1, Bryce Underwood as a true freshman looks better than Arch Manning as a third-year player.
Yeah.
Just saying, he looks really good. I guess that's not saying much, though. Let's be honest. But looking at OU, it's going to be a completely different beast. I don't think that Michigan's going to be able to run the football very well, and I think that they will need that to get Underwood going. He's going to need to. This is a big environment playing in Norman. It's going to be a really ruckus environment for the young freshman, and I trust Brent Venables in this situation to be able to kind of slow the game down and play fast towards the quarterback there. And on defense, I expect a lot of pressure coming from OU, and Michigan I think is going to get stalled a little bit, especially in that first half. Now things may settle, halftime adjustments can be made, but I'm mainly banking on the fact that Brent Venables is going to have a plan for this young freshman to get him off balance a little bit and get him ruffled a little bit. And then who knows in the second half, kind of what can happen. And then on the flip side, while I do like John Mateer, I'm still kind of wondering what this OU running attack is going to look like. The offensive line, like I said in our preview of this game, I'm not 100% sold on it being fixed. That was the issue last year. 100%, and I'm just not 100% on OU's offensive line being back to what it should be, and therefore I'm wondering about the run game. Michigan's defense may just be able to sit back and play the pass and keep 6 or 7 in the box and stop the run. And if that's the case, it's going to be a long day for OU. But give me the first half under 23.5 on this one.
I don't have a pick on that game. I came at it from every single angle, man, this morning. Just looking at the numbers as close as I could to when the show started, and there's been a lot of movement. It seemed, since that betting window opened up, like preseason, and I just feel like it's for what I'd want to bet on the game. I feel like it's all bet out, but I am really, really excited to watch that game, and I agree with a lot of your sentiments there. I'm most interested to see how Wink Martindale addresses John Mateer. That's really what I'm really most interested in, and I think that'll tell us a lot about how this game's going to go and the pace of this game. Um, and then I think about Brent Venables and that defense, and man, he's been part of so many big games, uh, coached in a bunch of championship games, and I just, man, going against a freshman quarterback, everything points to a low scoring game here for me, I think. But yeah, man, I'm with you on that. All right. That's going to be a good one. Can't wait to see it. Lots of good games this weekend. I've heard several people say it's a sleepy weekend, and I couldn't disagree more. It's going to be a really good one. I'm going to take us to Iowa State, Cy-Hawk Trophy. Okay. And I'm going to go about as by the book as you can go, and I'm going under 42.5. I'm sticking to my guns on this. Look, it seems like a really trendy pick right now to jump on with Iowa. Okay. And I get it. People are excited about the quarterback. That Iowa, at the prospect of Iowa having a quarterback, I guess really is what people are excited about. But I'd be damned if I'm gonna come on here week 2 after going 2-5 and put my money on an Iowa offense. I mean, my God, you've got to be a glutton for punishment if you're actually putting money on an Iowa offense. And maybe it pays off this weekend. Okay, maybe it does. But I'm just not willing to take that chance. I'm going under for the game, and I think the trend continues for this rivalry. I think we're in for a low-scoring matchup. I understand Iowa State's weaknesses on defense, and particularly it's against the pass. And I, I, I'm not saying they're great against the run, but they haven't showed me anything this year to say that they're not at least okay against the run. I think this is going to be a bit of a stalemate for a lot of this game, just like a lot of these games are. As far back really as you want to look in the history books, very low scoring. It's at 42.5. I saw this morning, so I'm going to take that under because I believe that actually ticked up a point. So to be honest, folks, it's probably going to waffle back and forth, but if you wait, you may actually luck up and it go up to 43 because it seems like people are betting the over, and I'm going to fade the hell out of the public on this, and I ain't betting on Iowa's offense. Give me that under.
Yeah, I like the play there. I'm going to take Iowa at plus 3.5 versus Iowa State. I looking at this matchup. If this was at 2.5 or 3, I'm a little bit less likely to jump on it. But at 3.5, I feel pretty confident that this is going to be a field goal game, no matter which side it goes towards. I am banking a little bit on Gronowski, the quarterback for Iowa, being what he's supposed to be, being what he showed at South Dakota State, and being able to pass the football because we didn't see it last week against Albany. They're going to have to pass the football here a little bit. They didn't have to last week. And we still saw a lot of positive things in the quarterback run game. I'm anxious to see how Iowa State is able to defend the quarterback run. I know they can defend the run, but when you're running RPOs, when you've got a quarterback that can drop back to pass and then, see the field, notice that nothing's there, take off and run with it, it's a little bit of a different animal. So I'm gonna go Iowa here plus 3.5. I think they can win this one outright. And I mean, it's a rivalry game, so you never know what's going to happen. But this to me looks like a field goal type game.
I definitely think so, and yeah, I think it could go either way. With it being at Iowa State, I think that definitely helps the Cyclones. The last 4 meetings, the home team has won, and but anything can happen in this one. I do think it'll be low scoring, and obviously Vegas agrees. Now, is it below 42.5 or not? I'm willing to bet yes, but we shall see. All right, let's keep it going here. Oklahoma State at Oregon. This has been a fun conversation piece, this game, pretty much all week. Just the back and forth, So I guess the low budget Oklahoma State Cowboys, low dollar, they're going to hit the road probably on a big cheese yellow school bus all the way out to Oregon. and they're going to face those multi-billion-dollar Ducks, right? And if you don't know what I'm talking about, the coaches have been at each other a little bit this week. Mike Gundy bringing up the fact that Oregon's got a bunch of money, failing to acknowledge the fact that Oklahoma State themselves has been in some situations where they've had a lot of money in their past. So it was pretty silly. Dan Lanning kind of lashed back. It's been a nice, cute little back and forth. But this game's got to be played on Saturday. And that's unfortunate for Oklahoma State, my friend. That's unfortunate because this is going to be a ground and pound, okay? And it's going to be Oklahoma State hitting the ground and Oregon doing the pounding. It's somehow worked itself to 27.5. I thought I saw this at 28.5 earlier this week, but I found it this morning at 27.5, and I'm taking that 27.5 now. 28.5 had me a little scared just because of, obvious reasons. 28 divisible by 7, and then the hook on it, that scared me off a bit. But now we're under that watermark, and I like it a lot more. So give me minus 27.5. Look, I like the prospect of Oregon being able to grind this team into dust. I don't think the roster for Oklahoma State is really any good. We try to be, when we do these breakdowns, sometimes I get a little too honest, and I don't mean that. We want to be honest, but you don't want to just straight up piss everybody off. You want to talk about both teams and really, do due diligence on both teams. Well, now that we're on the betting show, you can kind of just let it fly, right? Oklahoma State, I think, is going to suck. And you know what I mean? I just think they're going to suck. And I feel like this Gundy thing is it's almost like prefacing an ass whooping.
Making excuses.
You've already got an excuse in the book. You know what I'm saying? And it's and it's really it's really pretty lame, honestly. Now, I love Gundy. I love what he brings to the table. He's entertaining as hell. But it's really pretty lame to, demean, take away from a win from another team. Like, Gundy would take offense if somebody basically, devalued a win that they got against them. You know what I'm saying? Like, if UT Martin's coach came out from last week and was like, yeah, but they got a much bigger budget, so of course they won. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's not good. I don't know. I don't like that. But with all that being said, I think it's all the more motivation for Oregon to come out and use that big ass offensive line they've got and run the hell over this Oklahoma State defense. And I'm also going to tack on an under 55.5. And I'll tell you why, Mason, because I told you earlier this week that my prediction for this game was 35-7. I still think that is a real good possibility, and there's a ton of wiggle room in there. So I just feel really good about mashing the button on this under 55.5. And beyond that, my whole outlook on Oregon right now is I'm pretty sure, at least to start the season, they are going to be a run first and run second team. I don't think they're going to be in a hurry to open up the passing playbook and be throwing the ball up and down the field early in this season with Dante Moore. I just don't think that's where Oregon's head's at, especially with Evan Stewart hurt. You're breaking in some new wide receivers. You know what I'm saying? I just think that it's going to be more of a process of getting his feet wet and using those awesome running backs that they've got and using that awesome offensive line that they've got and use some play action pass and things like that. So I just don't think they're out there to go West Coast all over them. It's going to be more of a, early 20 teens Georgia style of football offensively, I think, for the Oregon Ducks. Going to ground them up, man. Going to grind them up. They dust them off, and now they're about to get put into the wood chipper. What you got next? You got anything on that game before we move on?
You talked me into it, Mark. I'm going to lock up the under 55.5. I mean, I like Oregon covered in this game too. I think that's definitely the right side of it. But the under, 55.5 is a lot. And look, Oregon can win 40-10 and that be an absolute ass beating and still cover this under by 5.5 points. I mean, I don't see Oregon and Dan Lanning. I know there was some talk beforehand and all that. Dan Lanning's not he's not going to have a vendetta against Mike Gundy because of some talk about NIL and stuff like that. The bigger picture is what's important for Oregon, which means getting your guys out there, getting them reps, the 2s and 3s, getting those guys reps in a football game that's a blowout, right? So if it does creep up to a 28-point lead, I think that you're going to see a lot of 2s and 3s in there playing. And then the flip side of that is you're going to keep your ones healthy. And not to say that Oklahoma State is the same as an FCS opponent, because that's typically what you'd see in an FCS type game. But it's a 28.5-point spread. It is kind of like that. And so I think that this game's going to be a little bit conservative on Oregon's side. And I like the under there. I didn't have that play going into this show, but you talked me into it. I'm going to lock it up with you. All right, so I'm going to go to the first SEC matchup of the year, Ole Miss. And for some reason I wrote Duke here, but the other basketball school, Ole Miss versus Kentucky. I'm going to take the under. The first half under 26.5. I think this is going to be a little bit of a slow start. Duke, I keep saying Duke now. Now I got it written down and I got Duke on the mind. Kentucky is a team that has struggled to find an offense for the past 2 seasons. I think that they're still trying to find that offensive identity. Ole Miss, while they lost a lot on the defensive line, I do think that they are under Pete Golden still going to be pretty decent on the defense. Maybe middle of the pack for the SEC, but when you're talking about potentially the worst offense in the SEC, I don't think that Kentucky is going to be able to come out here and score, right away. Maybe things settle a little bit in the second half on both sides. But I don't think Kentucky's going to be able to score. That's mostly why I've got the first half under here at 26.5. But also Ole Miss breaking in Austin Simmons. This game is going to be played at Kentucky. It will be a pretty decent environment, especially in that first half while the game's still being played. But I like Austin Simmons a lot. I just think that this is going to be a second half game for him and Ole Miss in this one. So give me the first half under 26.5.
Okay. All right. I'll definitely be watching that one. I don't have a play on it, but I'm definitely intrigued. I don't really know what to think about both of those teams, really. I know what the offense for Ole Miss will be like, but that's not the only section of the game that I feel like I have any understanding of between the two defenses and the two offenses. So that one will be interesting to sit back and watch. All right, let's jump over to another one of the non-con rivalry games. I hadn't heard many people trying to make any plays on this game, to be honest with you. I think a lot of people are scared of this game. But scared money don't make no money. Kansas, over 21.5 team total at Missouri. I told you earlier this week that I just feel a 27-24 Missouri win on this one. That's what I feel like is going to happen. And I'm just going to stick to it, man. That's just how I feel like that game's going to go. I think Kansas, their offense can outperform what the public and what Vegas believes that they, at the level that they can perform. I just believe in this offense, and I believe in this head coach's vision for the offense. He's very creative. He's going to figure out ways to move the ball. And I just feel like Jalen Daniels early in this season is healthy right now, healthier than we've seen him the last, going on 3 years now. And I'm just a believer here. Not to mention the run game has been much better. Now, is it going to be great in the first half against Mizzou? We'll see. I mean, they haven't faced a team like Mizzou this year, obviously. But 21.5, I think they can get a field goal over that. I feel like that's just a tad bit low. Um, that's a tough game overall, though, to really get a grasp on for a full over under or get on one side or the other. That seems like a tough one to. I don't know who's to win, I guess is what I'm saying. But if Missouri's offense somehow struggles or Bo Perbula craps down the back of his leg, I still feel good about this one. As far as Kansas getting over 21.5, or if Mizzou overperforms, I still feel good about Kansas getting over 21.5. So
Mhm.
I just feel like this is the safest play on this game, and I want some action on this sucker. You got anything on this game?
I don't. Um, got cold feet on this one. It did creep up to there is a +7 for Kansas, and I like that play. If I were to pick against the spread, that's the one I would go with.
Yeah.
But I'm concerned that Missouri is going to do too good of a job to stop the run against Kansas, and when Jalen Daniels is not throwing on play action, his completion percentage is 54%. If they can't run the football, they can't use play action. That's on play action, he's at 94%. So that's kind of the the identity of the football teams to run the football first, then go play action. And a lot of teams are built like that. That's no, you know,
Yeah.
that's not inside knowledge or anything like that. But Kansas does it very effectively, and it's a huge part of their game plan. I'm going to stay away from that one. Um, I'm going to go up to Virginia though, to Vanderbilt versus Virginia Tech. I think Virginia Tech's in trouble here. I think Brent Pry is in a lot of trouble here. I think he's about to potentially take his second L, albeit to an SEC team. It just uh, luck had it to where Virginia Tech scheduled two SEC opponents weeks 1 and 2 for their non-con, which kudos for them for giving us some really good matchups to watch. But Vanderbilt's a different team. They're a different team than probably when this game was scheduled. Um, Virginia Tech is favored by 2.5 points, but I'm going to take Vandy in this one. I think that they could potentially win this game outright. But looking at the offense, they got a lot coming back. Need to figure out who that pass catcher is for Vandy on the outside. But still like the tight end there for Vandy. And I think that they're going to be able to run the football. South Carolina did a good job of that last week, and this to me this is going to be a slower game. I saw out of Kyron Drones what I kind of thought that I would saw in a quarterback that is still extremely talented, uber talented, but hasn't made any progress from last year to this year. So give me the Commodores in this one. I think that they're gonna be able to cover 2.5.
Okay. All right. And let's see here. I got 3 more picks here, and then I've got some money line. How many more do you got?
4.
Okay. All right. So we're pretty much right on track. All right, and these will be quick too. Simple explanations for these. Arkansas State at Arkansas. Arkansas is a 23.5 point favorite. That ain't enough, dog.
Yeah.
That ain't enough. Taylor Green is healthy right now, and early in seasons, Taylor Green has put up big numbers, and I don't think that stops right here. Arkansas State Red Wolves are no good at football. Hadn't been no good since I forget, was it Butch Jones? I think was there, um, and that's been a while, dog. So give me those Razorbacks for a absolute thrashing of the Red Wolves at home. Minus 23.5. Lock it up.
If you need it, I got a minus 22.5 over at FanDuel.
Of course I need it.
Um,
Of course.
give you an extra point there. I'm going to go
22.5. Thank you.
I'm going to go James Madison at plus 14.5 versus Louisville.
That one's tonight, right?
I think so.
I think it's a Friday night game.
This one smells like an upset.
Yep.
That one is tonight, 7:00. I'm not confident enough to pull on the money line, although the return on this would be incredible. But I believe in this JMU team. I think that they've made a lot of progress over the past couple of years. And Louisville, on the other hand, while they've been able to spend with, and keeping up in the spending department on the NIL side, this is a feisty little JMU team. And I think that they're going to be able to keep it within 2 scores here, if not win it outright and pull off the upset. But, this is one I think you definitely need to pay attention to tonight, because it's going to be a pretty good football game. And I think there are going to be some fireworks.
Yeah. I like that pick. All right, I'm going to go out to Kansas State, man. See, and I'm a bit of a traitor myself, and I don't mean that in the sense of like traitor, but I mean a day trader. When do you buy stocks, man? When they're
down.
When they're down. Well, what stock is down more than anybody this year, other than Alabama? It's Kansas State. Kansas State stock is way down. Minus 17.5 point favorites at home versus Army, who just lost their quarterback. It doesn't really make any sense to me. I think this is a get-right moment for the Wildcats. I think Avery Johnson goes off. I think Kansas State goes off. I just think this is the right moment to push the Kansas State button. Give me the Wildcats minus 17.5 against the Army.
I do have a 17 out there just in case you might need a push.
We'll take a 17.
There's actually a few of them, but yeah, I like that pick. I actually thought about that myself. This is actually 2 teams that are down. Army was expected to be this team that could potentially make the playoffs, lose their starting quarterback.
The Tarleton Turtles.
Exactly.
They're not the Turtles, but it sounds good.
Hey, you had me. All right, I'm going to go to Illinois and Duke. I'm going to take the under on the total there, 49.5. I like that we got a hook over the 49 there. I think that this is going to be a slow game. I really do.
Mm-hmm.
Illinois' defensive line, I think, is going to surprise some people in this game, and they could potentially get to Mensa. Mensa, while I think he's potentially an NFL quarterback, I don't know about the weapons with Duke. I think that they found the quarterback, but I'm still kind of waiting to see what they figure out as far as the playmakers go on the perimeter. Illinois has historically had really good DB, production there. I don't know much about the defensive backfield for Illinois, but I feel pretty confident in saying that they're going to be good, just given what they've been able to put out on the field since Brett Bielema got there. But I like what they have up front, and I think that they get to Mensa in this game, and that keeps the total under. I like Illinois to win this one, but I like the 49.5 even more.
Yeah, and I think Illinois is going to do everything they can to keep this game slow. Grind it to just a slow beat, and I think Duke is going to try to do the opposite, which may end up running themselves into some 3-and-outs, and handing the ball right back to that slow tempo offense. So I think you're right, man. I like that play. Don't have that play on my card, but I do. I did consider it, and no real good reason that I didn't mash that button. But oh well, I'm going to stick with it. I made the card. I'm sticking with the card. Kent State plus 48.5. This is pretty sick of me to do. Kent State plus 48.5 going to Lubbock, Texas. I mean, look, this is a bad team. Don't get me wrong. Kent State is bad, y'all. They've been bad ever since they just had that total purge of the roster a couple years ago, something like that. They were pretty good one year. It was the year that Georgia played them. They were pretty decent. And then the whole roster, the whole coaching staff, everybody got up, left town, okay, on the first thing smoking. As soon as they won some games, they was gone. But plus 48.5, dude. I mean, basically, as a bettor, I'm starting this game with Kent State up 48.5 to nothing. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's how I'm watching this game. And by the way, I won't be watching the game. I'm sorry. I'm gonna bet on this. Just principle. This is a huge, huge line. Georgia don't even. I mean, Georgia, Alabama, whatever team insert whatever team name you want. I mean, nobody really hardly beats anybody by this. And Texas Tech gonna beat them 49 to nothing or better. I just don't know about that, man. Give me plus 48.5. And so that's my last regular pick. I know you've got a couple of more here, but we're T minus 3 minutes from self destruct in my kitchen for my wife. So let's knock these out.
I got you. All right. So I've got West. Well, let me go with Arizona State, Mississippi State first. I've got the under 59.5. I think this game's played a little bit slower. I know it's two great quarterbacks. I know that the defenses have been, a little bit lackluster, but I think this one stays under 60 for the team total. I think we're playing in the high 20s here, which might be playing with fire a little bit, but I like this to stay under. And I think Mississippi State's defense is going to surprise some people. And then for my, I'm going to go ahead and pull the trigger. So Western Kentucky, Toledo over 58.5. I know it's an overplay and it's early to be taking overs, and 58.5 is a lot. But I do think this one's going to be in the 60s. You've got two really good offenses, not so good defenses, right? This is going to be a shootout. It's probably going to be a pretty fun game to watch, but I will not be watching Western Kentucky at all this season, to be honest with you. But I like what they did last week, just kind of grabbing some stats and whatnot. So yeah, give me the over 58.5. And then I'll go ahead and give you my money line picks. I've got Mississippi State at plus 200. I think that they're able to beat Arizona State outright. This game is going to be played in Starkville, and I think that matters a ton here. Going to an SEC environment like that, it's going to be really tough for Arizona State, who I think probably took a step back from last year, especially losing Cam Scatterbo. Then you look at Mississippi State, I think that they are going to be a little bit better. They get their quarterback back in Blake Shapen. This was a touchdown game last year, and you're telling me that Arizona State is worse, Mississippi State is better. I like my odds there, especially at plus 200. I'm going to go ahead and take Mississippi State. And then I've also got Vanderbilt. It's not a huge play at plus 110, but I'm taking Vanderbilt over Virginia Tech for obvious reasons. Just really like the quarterback to tight end combo there for the offense for Vanderbilt. And I think that they're a little bit better than what people give them credit for on defense as well.
Nice. Yeah, I'm with you on Mississippi State. I hate to do that, but we're both on the same one there. So, and I heard you got plus 200. I saw plus 190. But I totally agree with you, man. I like that money line pick. I actually feel really good about that. I'm gonna throw a little personal pizza on that bad boy. A little pizza money for real this weekend. And then sit back and watch that one and root for the underdog. And then I'm taking Duke plus 130. I think some people are going to be. I don't think anybody would be surprised about Illinois' defense. I think the actual college football community, the people that actually watch, probably feel like Illinois is a team on the rise. Like they've been relevant for a little bit now, and that's not something we've been able to say about their entire past. So, their style, they're hard nosed. They're a gritty football team. I think this game is going to be played in the teens or low 20s for each team. But at home, I think maybe Duke can pull this thing out. They've had a knack for beating top 25 teams, and Illinois is ranked number 11 right now. which is awesome for the Fighting Illini. But come on now, let's be real. They're not the 11th best team in the country. You can't be.
Yep.
Give me Duke plus 130, and then let me cross my fingers. Let's hope it happens, people. Y'all let me know in the comment section. That's it for our picks. They're in the books. What are your picks? Put them in the books. Put them out here on Front Street with us. Let's see what you're betting on this weekend. We'd love to hear from you. Good luck and good betting this weekend. Mason, you got anything for the folks? We're going to be back on. I guess we're probably going to do Saturday night this week, huh?
Probably so.
Yeah,
it is a work weekend for me, so
okay.
so I'll be I won't be able to make a Sunday morning or anything like that. So we'll do a Saturday night reaction live show. We'll have a link drop so people can join and cry with us if you want, if that's your thing, or celebrate with us, if your team wins. So come hang out, come join us. Saturday night's usually a really fun time. We're a little bit loose. We've got a little poured up, over a Saturday, and so it's usually a really good time.
Yeah, a few Mickeys in, baby. You never know what's going down on the First and Long College Football Show. Thank y'all so much for watching. I appreciate you. Hit that like button, hit the subscribe button if you hadn't done it. We're going to see you Saturday night. Everybody have a good one. Good luck.